Want to be able to build like that? In this video, we'll be focusing on building speed secrets that you probably haven't heard of. Your Fortnite settings dictate more about your gameplay than meets the eye. Certain options in your menu that are simply flipped off or on can affect your building speed tremendously. Now, this may be a setting you looked over, didn't think about, or just left it off, but turning this on is crucial to building faster. Let me explain. When having the reset building choice setting off, you're delaying yourself in between builds. As you can see, when I finish building, I end on the last build choice used, which was my stair. Now, this leaves me with a few seconds of delay before I go into the next build choice that I want to use. Now, rather, if I turn the reset building choice option on, my builds reset back to my wall and fully refreshes itself to prepare for my next move. Now, this is good because it doesn't leave your game having to guess what your next build will be. Instead, it resets back to your wall building choice and waits for you to do the build work, minimizing your delay and time in between transitions. When building, have you ever messed up and edited a door like this? Well, if you go to the auto open doors option in settings and turn it on, it can save you tons of time when trying to rotate throughout different build maneuvers. When you have the setting off, the game leaves it to you to open the door manually, rather than letting the game do it for you and walking straight through. Now, this completely wastes your time while building and keeps your efficiency level at the bare minimum. Let's say you make the same edit and place another door. Instead of you pressing your bind to open the door, the game will open the door for you automatically, and you can instantly walk through. This leads to less time being wasted, giving yourself access to a setting that can alter your perspective on making a mistake or not. Now, how about we step away from building as a whole and just focus on movement? Let's say you're in a situation where you're trying to get away from an opponent that is chasing you. You can instantly sprint through any given door in a building, leaving you with more of a chance to kill your opponent and less worry about getting hit by trying to open the door on your own. If you have auto open doors off, you wouldn't be able to escape your opponents as fast. When you have it on, you sprint through a door, and there's an animation where your character bursts through the door, giving you tons of leverage over the players who don't have the setting on. If you're serious about becoming a pro at Fortnite, you should definitely consider our services. You can access all of our courses and bootcamp content for just $7.99. And if personalized coaching is more your speed, you'll get 10% off any session with any of our pros. That being said, let's get back into the video. As most of you know, in Chapter 2 Season 5, Fortnite released the Disable Pre-Edit option in settings. This allows you to not have to worry about accidentally pre-editing your wall and having to reset your wall back to the way it was. Now, everyone in the community seemed to love it. But what if I told you that this option delays your edits and builds to some degree? Try turning it back off, enabling yourself to pre-edit and then go into creative and do some free building on your own. And I promise you, you will see a difference in your building speeds. Now, you're just going to have to master your techniques and keep your accidental pre-edit mishaps to a minimum. There's many ways that you can bypass the pre-edit hiccup, but the easiest way is to start off your mechanics slowly and going through the motions and not worrying about how fast you are. Do this step for about 5 minutes, then start to gain speed, transitioning back to your original level of quickness, and you won't even notice the pre-edit option being available. Like I mentioned before, with this setting off, you will feel a difference in your building and editing speeds, and this also includes your movement. Whether you're on PC or controller, your sensitivity will always be key to your aim, but it's even more important to how quick and precise your builds are. Having a fast sense may give you too much control at one time. Instead, you should try to keep a happy medium with your sensitivity options to not overload yourself. This also helps you not worry about barely moving your mouse or analog stick and having this sudden change in your gameplay. Having a sensitivity that's too high is very volatile. It may look cool to have your character flicking around everywhere to shoot and place builds, but almost all players that have a very high sensitivity lack one thing, which is consistency. Consistency can only be shown when you find a sensitivity that you're comfortable with. Now, this does not mean one where you're hitting a max 200 pump the first fight and then hitting for a 30 pump in the next fight, giving yourself a huge target on your back for your opponent to take advantage of. Believe it or not, but having a sensitivity that's too low can be even more challenging. When you have to completely strong arm your mouse or tug on your joystick just to give yourself a very slight change in movement, it's sign that your sensitivity is way too slow. Like I said before, find a happy medium in your sensitivity where you don't have to worry about how fast or slow you're moving. Find one where you can move freely and smoothly while keeping your mistakes to a minimum. With that being said, if you're comfortable with the sensitivity you have right now and you feel like you have plenty of control over your builds and movement, don't change your sensitivity and continue to improve your build speeds with the other methods in this video. Alright guys, it's time for the question of the day. Which pro do you think is the fastest builder, and what do you think sets them apart from everyone else? Take a few seconds to pause the video and let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Alright, you knew it was coming. Turbo building is a feature that is automatically turned on, but just in case you don't have it turned on, you're missing out on how fast your builds could be. When turbo building is off, you basically press your build bind twice instead of just placing your build on command, meaning that you only have to place it once. Not to mention, having to do this action every time you try to build a stair, wall, floor, or cone. On the other hand, if you have your turbo building option on, you just have to hold down your correct bind to place as many builds as you want. Turbo building will always be the winner over having clicked your build bind twice. There are way too many negatives than there are positives for having turbo building off. As for having it on, there are absolutely no negative aspects of doing so. Like the ones we talked about earlier, there are countless positive aspects of having it on. But what if I told you that you can make yourself faster by swapping only one bind on your layout? In Chapter 3, Season 2, the mechanical aspect of Fortnite changed forever. Sprinting and mantling were added into the game. Obviously, we already had some version of a sprint where you ran slightly faster than just a free run, but this is a tactical sprint where you can run extremely faster than the old sprint we once knew. If used correctly, this gives you an insane advantage over your enemy. First, let's talk about coming out of a break. A break is where you finish doing a retake or a double ramp and come out of that retake to start ramping towards your opponent. Now you need to make sure that your breaks are smooth and precise when transitioning out of them. To sprint correctly, first make yourself a comfortable bind where you can sprint and build at the same time with the most amount of control as possible. For controller players, this might be your right bumper bind, paddle bind, or if you're playing claw, it could be any button on the right side of your controller. For mouse and keyboard players, as most of you guys have optimal binds, it should be any button near your build bind or even a mouse button bind. To increase your building speeds, you need to find the urge to sprint as much as possible, giving yourself that extra edge over your opponent by having faster movement than them. It is the next big step you need to take to becoming a faster builder. Throughout the video, we talked about different settings and choices you can make to improve your building speeds. But now we can put it all together into one simple method. Let's talk about free building. This technique is used to put all of your building and editing speed mechanisms to the test. Simply by going into creative, jumping into either your map or a 1v1 map and just build freely on your own. This process never needs to be overlooked, and it's the main reason that pros like Clix, Day, Booga, and FaZe Sway look so mechanically sound when they're playing. Free building needs to become a part of your daily warm-up routine. Using this to warm up your hands and get loose really is what sets good players apart from bad players. When practicing your builds and edits by doing a simple task, you're working towards bettering your build speed along with the efficiency leveling of your mechanics. If you found this video helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for future videos.